Hello! In this video I'll be showing you my design for the new mob elevator for Minecraft 1.13. The old mob elevators used to look like this, where the mobs would get pushed in here and then their head would be pushed into the water, making them swim all the way up. But since 1.13, mobs no longer swim upward, instead they sink down, so this no longer works. They did add bubble columns with soul sand, and what this makes is a really fast chute for them to go up in. But the problem with this is that you cannot have water touching it, or else this water flows backwards and they get stuck here. And as you can see with this design, they just get stuck right here. Otherwise, they would go into the water stream and get sucked all the way up to the top. So with the design I came up with, it uses a single piston and a redstone comparator. So this does require you to go to the nether, but you still need to go to the nether to get the soul sand. So you have your water stream leading into the elevator. This is where the mobs will come from, as in this would come from a spawner or a dark room that you may have built. So the way this works is that they come down here and fall into this pit. They'll sink down, and if they're in this block, they'll get shot all the way up to the top, but if they're in this block, they'll land on the pressure plate and activate this redstone clock, which rapidly pushes the piston forward so that it pushes them into the water stream, shooting them up the water stream. You want a redstone clock because in many cases, sometimes the piston, whenever it pushes, it might not push the mob, so the mob just gets stuck inside. So you want it on a clock so it repeatedly pushes back and forth, so that if the mob does glitch through the piston, it'll retract and try again. So you get an effect like this. If they do fight the current, eventually they get shot up. And this works with a large amount of mobs at a time. For sometimes they push each other into the current already, or they fall down onto that. As you can see, it was glitching out, and so the clock helped push them all the way up. And so this is the only way I found to get 100% guarantee that the mobs go up the water without them getting damaged at all. I've seen a bunch where people try to use fire or sunlight to make them run towards the water, but you don't want them getting hurt in this process. For if you want to put them in a suffocation chamber or have them drop down a set amount of blocks to take them down to half a heart so you can punch them once. This, unfortunately, does not work with zombies, though, as baby zombies can get stuck on this and make the piston rapidly push back and forth, but they're not tall enough to get pushed by the piston. So this design only works with mobs that do not have baby versions of themselves, so too tall mobs only. The only problem with this right now is sometimes, as you saw earlier, a mob can get stuck in between this and this block, so their head gets stuck on this piece of glass while being pushed up. So one way to prevent that is to have the whole thing 2 blocks wide with signs going up all the way on one side, and then at the top just have a water stream going across. That'll work fine. Or if you need it to be one wide column like this, eventually the mob will get pushed in by other mobs going. With the zombie spawner, or zombies just in general, I find that using just the default one, where you have a blank space right here, works just okay. Because if it's a spawner, they'll get pushed in and eventually they'll push each other. But one way to encourage them to walk into it is to build a section over here where it is made with a villager on this side. So you knock that block out, and then you put a sign in that space to block the water. And then you need it to be like this so that they have a pathway to get to the villager. I'm mistyping. So you put the villager in there, and as you saw, he got attracted to the villager. Now, the way the water streams work, they will always go up the water, and there's no way that they will be able to make it through that I've seen in my testing. So this should work almost every time, as long as they are attracted to there, or if there's enough mobs to actually push them in. And with this design, you can easily have them separate the baby zombies out by up top having a flat area like this, just like in the older versions of Minecraft, how you would separate the baby zombies out. Just have a channel like this for the large zombies to go through. And have a water source just right there. Let me redo this water. So the baby zombies would get pushed underneath, and so you have them in this chamber, while the adult zombies is in that chamber. And so that's how you can deal with zombies. But if you do have skeletons, this is a really well made design that is guaranteed to push them up. And again, it just uses a piston, some redstone, a comparator, and a piece of soul sand, and a pressure plate, and some signs.